Hello everybody, my name is Ryan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while, 4 years to be exact, but with it being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month and having dealt with some pretty serious mental health issues myself, I thought what a way to come back to YouTube, so here we are. Just as a bit of a caveat to that, I'm not offering mental health advice, I'm not a mental health professional, I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just hoping that by telling my story it might empower and inspire some people to just keep going. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ryan, I'm 27 years old, I'm a personal trainer and fitness professional. I own my own private personal training studio and I have a beautiful girlfriend and 2 lovely cats at home who I live with. So, you know, and that's going to become quite important in a bit, but that's my life right now. Let me drag you back. I've made some notes. Let me drag you back to 1998 when I was born. I was born in 1998 and then my parents divorced, or they broke up and divorced later on in 2005. And I don't remember much of it. Apparently trauma can make you forget things and block things out. So I don't remember a lot of that, but I do remember them breaking up and I remember some arguments that they had. They broke up and my mum was then a single mum. She did the majority of raising me on her own, or at least to my knowledge she did. You know, that was tough. That was definitely, I don't think that led to anything. At least I don't think it did lead to anything. But then school came around and I was a very academic kid. I enjoyed school. I was quite smart. I liked learning. And then year 10 and 11 came around, which was when I was about 15, 16. And I started going out drinking till 3 o'clock in the morning and dealing with what a lot of people would call substance abuse. I just didn't go to school. I didn't enjoy it, didn't see the point in it. I wanted to join the army and that's all I wanted to do. Didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to join the army. So I joined cadets and, you know, did all of that. And that was really good fun. Probably one of the best things I ever did in my life. And then, yeah, I didn't really stick at anything. I had a few jobs and then 2017 came around. I joined the army. I applied to join the army. There's a video on the channel, 2 videos on this channel about that actually. I applied to join the army, passed my selection, everything went to pot. And my girlfriend at the time was really supportive, she was really helpful, and she helped me navigate it. But in 2018, early 2018, my nan passed away. Now, I was 20 years old, and it was the first person I'd ever lost. And me and my family are really close. I consider my cousins to be closer to siblings than cousins, and I'm really close with everybody in my family, at least I like to think I am. And so when my nan passed away, I didn't really know how to deal with it because I was 20 years old. I never lost anybody before. So that coupled with applying to join the army and having my entire lifelong dream ruined in front of me, I moved away. And I was in a horrendously toxic relationship. And that led to me attempting to take my own life. And I was 5 minutes away from not being here anymore, is what the doctor said. I was rushed to A&E and the doctor said, yeah, do you know what, if you'd have closed your eyes or fallen asleep, you probably wouldn't be here anymore, which is pretty mad when you think about it. So that was 2018, mid-2018. So I was 20 years old. I was dealing with so much stuff. There was so much on my plate, and that was genuinely rock bottom. I'd been self-harming for a while. And I'd had a few kind of other like, oh, I might try and not be here anymore attempts, but this was like a real serious one. Mum, dad, sister all rushed down to hospital to see me. I stayed in hospital overnight and then I was sent away. And that kind of made me think maybe I need some help. Stupidly, I didn't remove myself from the toxic relationship I was in. And then, yeah, so moved away from that, moved home. And then I met a lovely girl who kind of helped me go through all these things. However, then in 2019, my sister then passed away, and that was the most horrendous, horrible, horrific thing that I've ever had to deal with, ever, and probably will ever have to deal with. So, yeah, she went into hospital on the Wednesday in a coma. She was brain dead, and then by the Friday she was pronounced dead. She died from what's called meningococcal meningitis C. I've since ran 2 half marathons and a marathon for meningitis now, and I am running the next one, London 2026. So if you want to donate to that, there will be a link below. Just a shameless plug there. So my sister passed away. She was 23 years old. I was 21, and that was hardcore. I was really hardcore, and I formed a bit of a trauma bond with my girlfriend at the time, and I kind of put those two in the same box. And that girlfriend then really helped me, deal with things. I wasn't dealing with things very well. I was jumping from job to job. I went self-employed, but I never put any effort into it. I became a photographer and videographer, you'll remember, because the videos are still on this channel. But I never put any effort into it. Never, ever put any effort into it. And then we broke up. And it was a traumatic breakup, at least for me. It was a really toxic and traumatic breakup, which led to my best friend forever, my BFF Ethan, actually fireman's carrying me out of a club because I'd nicked a whole bottle of alcohol, which is never a good idea, and I'm not just talking about beer. But that was not a good idea, so he helped me through that, and that's going to come into play in a second. Lockdown then happened, and obviously, everybody has their own experiences throughout COVID. I actually did not have a bad lockdown. I know that a lot of people lost loved ones, friends, family, and I'm really sorry for that. But in my perspective, I just played a lot of video games and became a Twitch streamer. So yeah, that's that. 2021 rolls around, and then I meet Jess, the absolute LOLM, the love of my life. LOML? Love of my life, and we're still together now, and it's been really great. We've had ups and downs. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but a lot of the things that I dealt with Jess actually didn't force me into, but made me go to therapy and talking therapy with a lovely lady called Shauna, and it was great. The best decision I ever made. She saved my life, she saved my relationship, and she saved my business multiple times, I think, actually. 2021, 2022, I become a PT. And I don't look back. I go from strength to strength to strength until now in September 2025, where I built my own PT studio, and here we are, sat in the podcast studio element of it. So I framed it, I've TLDR'd it, I've made that really, really short. But like I say, I want to say I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not giving you mental health advice. I'm just telling you my story, and I'm framing it in a quite jolly way. I'm quite a jolly, warm person anyway, so I'm not trying to be depressing. But I read a quote once from a book called High Performance by Josh Humphreys, and in that book said, life plus response equals outcome. Very interesting idea to me. I looked into a little bit more, and it just basically means that you can't control life, right? Life happens to you, and you can't control what happens, but you can control your response to what happens to you. So, for example, my sister passed away. Now, I could have responded to that by doing a lot of naughty substances and drinking a lot and basically going down a very slippery slope. But I didn't. I responded to it in a different way and decided I don't want to live my life like this anymore. I don't want to live going from job to job. I don't want to... And don't get me wrong, it didn't happen like that. I didn't go self-employed and become a millionaire, right? It was trials and tribulations. It's been... What's that? It's 6.5 years now since my sister passed away, and I'm still just about getting to where I wanted to be 6.5 years ago. So there is that. I responded to it in a certain way, and the outcome was a certain outcome, and that outcome was for me success. It doesn't work for everybody. It's very easy to look back on, and I think that I reframed a lot of this stuff in a certain way. I think that I've definitely grown and put things into perspective. Now, I'm not saying that as soon as the day Abigail passed away, I'm not saying, boom, triumph out of trauma. Oh my God, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm not saying that happened then. Sorry, I'm very sick as well. I'm not saying that happened then. I'm not even saying it's happened now, but reframing things and putting things in a different perspective, it has really helped me. And it's really hard to do when you're through it, because had I put it in a different perspective and triumphed through that trauma as it was happening, I probably wouldn't have attempted to take my own life. I probably wouldn't have done this, that and the other. And there's some decisions I made that have been some really bad decisions, a lot of self-harm, a lot of... alcohol abuse, a lot of smoking and stuff like this that probably, wasn't the best response to that life. to that life event, but here we are. I'm still here now, and I look back and I think, God, I am glad that those things happened to me in a very morbid way, as it were. I am glad that those things happened to me. And you might say to me, wow, Ryan, so I say to a lot of people that one of the best things that ever happened to me was my sister passing away, right? And they say, what do you mean, you horrible human being? And I said it to my family before, and I'm not sure how they feel about this, so I've got to apologise to them if they're watching this. But I say that because I was going down a horrendously bad slope. I was a bit of a misfit. I was a lost cause, and that trauma helped me direct my light into something else. I got a tattoo saying memento mori, and it means remember you must die, so don't forget to live. And it's a Stoic quote, or Latin Stoic quote, and it's basically the idea of life's too short, make the most of it. You have a start date and an end date, live the middle bit, live the dash. I just didn't want to get live the dash tattooed on me, to be honest, but it means different things to different people. I think that I like to see Abigail, my sister, living through me vicariously. So she's vicariously living through me. For God's sake, she's on the wall up there. She is the reason why I'm here now. I'm being genuinely serious. That horribly, horrendous, traumatic thing that happened to me is the reason where I am now. That suicide attempt is why I am where I am now. Because I've managed to grow through that and look back at it in perspective and go, wow, had that not happened, would I be a different person? Absolutely, but I'm so glad that I am where I am because of what's happened to me. I genuinely am. I mean that very seriously. I really mean that I am happy that what's happened to me has happened to me. And however morbid that might sound, maybe some people who are in similar situations might understand where I'm coming from. And if you've never been in that situation, you might think, God, you're a horrible person. And that's fine, you're entitled to your opinion. But for me, that was so vital to me that these things happened when they happened. And I was able to grow from that. And triumph through trauma is a massive thing for me. And I actually like to use that saying quite a lot to a lot of people. And I like to live that kind of saying. It's the reframing of it for me. And like I say, I made a few notes, and it is the reframing of it for me. I've had a lot of challenges in my life, both early life and in the last few years. I've had a lot of things. Therapy really helped me. Talking therapy, like I say, Shauna saved my life, my business, my relationship. Therapy helped me so much, and growth is possible. And as long as you can shift your perspective pretty easily in retrospect, right? Hindsight, 2020, right? It's 2020 vision, right? It's really hard to do when you're dealing with it. And God knows that I was not thinking about hindsight and reframing things when I was, doing what I was doing to try and take my life. But, now I look back at it, I'm like, God, I am glad that happened. I'm glad I survived. And I'm glad that happened because I am here now and I'm a stronger person because of it, And I think that's those tough times have given me more opportunities. And actually, tough times don't last, tough people do. And I really believe that. I think everybody is a tough person. I think some people have harder battles than others. I genuinely believe that as well. But these tough times have turned things into opportunities. When my sister passed away, I had the opportunity to go and make something of myself, or to just become an alcoholic and potentially a drug addict and just go down a horrible slippery slope. And I don't think people would have blamed me for that happening, for me doing that. But I think that I'm much happier that I used that trauma and turned it into something very, very useful. And everybody knows who my sister is. Like, all of my clients, all of my friends, all of my followers know who Abigail is because she lives vicariously through me, and her life lives on with me. I'm keeping her alive, right? And I say to myself sometimes, oh my gosh, what if I went back 12 years and spoke to 15-year-old me? And I think, wow, 15-year-old me would not believe what I am doing now. I mean, I was not a sporty person. Imagine me going to the gym. I can deadlift, 200 kg nearly, and I can squat 180, and I can bench press nearly 135. And they'd be like, what? What? You don't spend your entire day playing video games? Like, if I could speak to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old me and say, look, Ryan, this is what you're doing now, they would be so shocked, but I think I'd be proud of myself, But I wouldn't want anything to change. I really wouldn't want anything to change. And things now are going so well. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, life isn't all sunshine and rainbows still. I still have a lot of issues that I'm dealing with. There's been a lot of past trauma that we're still working through, right? But it's not magic. There's no magic pill to make it all feel better. There's no magic shot to make you feel better and make your trauma disappear. So there's been a lot of positive changes in my life through these things happening. It's kind of called the butterfly effect, I guess. It's the idea of if you turn left, your life would be different if you turn right, sort of thing. But like I say, Abigail lives vicariously through me, and that is what matters. And I think that if nothing else, I want my story to give you hope and provide potential resilience for other people, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Even when I was at rock bottom and I didn't even think that, to be fair, I was at rock bottom, I didn't think it could get any worse, and it got worse, right? 3 times, minimum of 3 times. However, there was still light at the end of that tunnel, however far away that light felt. So I want you, the person watching this, to tap into your friends. My best friend Ethan was he doesn't realise it, I don't tell him, and he probably won't watch this, but he was a huge, monumental factor to my getting better. He doesn't realise it probably, but he really is a huge factor to me getting better, and I owe a lot of my current success to him. Same thing with Jess. I owe a lot of my current success to Jess. And I owe a lot of my current success to my parents, who really helped me through this, and my cousins and my friends and my family. But I think that if you can speak to anybody and just form this really good bond of people around you, that's what matters most. That's what I wrote down here. I think that's really important to do. No matter how tough it gets, growth is possible. That's something that I want you all to remember. Growth is possible no matter how hard it gets. And listen, if you're at rock bottom, and you really are genuinely at rock bottom, the only way to go is top. Is back up, right? So, and you can't always live on that top point. What my therapist said to me one day is the heart rate lines. What you don't want to be is right up here, because you can't always be right up here. There's always going to be a low. You want to try and keep, instead of doing this, you want to do this, right? So you want to keep that baseline. She said to me, baseline, don't flatline, which I found really funny actually at the time. And she's great. I would like to get her on a podcast actually to talk about psychology and stuff like this. But I think that was really interesting to me, because you can't always live this high, but then that also means you can't always live this low. So it's not a negative way of thinking about it in my perspective, because that high will end, but that low will also end. So you've got to kind of live in the moment, as it were, and I guess that's kind of what this means. But listen, I want to upload more long form content. I want to become a YouTuber again. It's my New Year's resolution. I want to start posting more. I want to start being a social media influencer. I want to be a gymfluencer, as it were. So there's a lot of content coming your way. I wanted to start with this because, like I say, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think that although it's becoming a very talked about topic, I don't want to give you advice, but I want to tell you how I managed to go through some of the most horrendous things that I think a person can go through. I think people expect to lose their grandparents, their parents, but they don't expect to lose siblings very young. They don't expect to lose their children. And trying to take their own life that really is rock bottom. That really is as low as it can get. If you think that's the only way out, then it's not. It definitely isn't. So please talk to somebody. Talking therapy really helped me. Really helped me. But you've got to work for it, right? I didn't just expect therapy to make me feel better. It didn't just magically fix me. I had to work for a lot of that stuff. What I'm doing now, I've put in a lot of effort to being a better person and to dealing with the trauma bond that I have with my ex, who was with me when Abigail passed away. I put in a lot of effort to deal with that. I've put in a lot of effort to deal with the trauma of losing Abigail, and the trauma of trying to take my own life, and the trauma of not even being able to do my dream job. I've put in a lot of effort to dealing with these things. So it's not something that's just going to happen, right? You don't just magically get better. You have to put the effort in. But once you put the effort in, I promise you, it will be worth it in the long run. So thank you very much for watching. Like I say, I am running the London Marathon again next year, so please do donate if you can. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this inspired at least one person and empowered at least one person to try and make changes that are going to make the response to those life events better. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. There will be a next video, I pinky promise. I hope if you need anything, talk to somebody. Come and talk to me. Send me a message on Instagram. I'm an open person. But talk to somebody. You're not weak if you cry, whatever. I cry all the time. Yeah, we're not weak individuals for crying. Please talk to somebody if you need anything, anything at all. There will be. There's a very common saying. Before I end this, I'd rather carry your head on my shoulder. I'd rather carry your tears on my shoulder than your coffin on my shoulder. And I've carried a few too many coffins in my life. Luckily, none of them of my friends. But I would much rather you come and cry on my shoulder, than me have to carry on my shoulder. And actually, I think Ethan will agree with this. He fireman carried me out of a club late at night when I downed a bottle of tequila because of certain toxic breakups. But I'm sure that he would rather carry me on his shoulder out of a club to my mum than carry my coffin. And I'd like to think that was absolutely fact. So thank you very much for watching. I'll leave you with that. And I'll see you in the next video.